Evening, this is the Board of Assessors meeting for April 18th, 2024 at 5:30 p.m. Present to our Board of Assessors members Kevin Rudden and Kenneth O'Brien.
Here.
Aye.
And Principal Assessor Jean Berthold. First item in the agenda is to approve the minutes of the April 8th, 2024 meeting.
And Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the minutes of the April 8th meeting as printed.
That was Mr. O'Brien, Kevin Rudden seconds, and that makes it unanimous of 2.
Well, I am going, yes, sir.
Well, we both voted yes on the minutes. Okay, the next item on the agenda, we have a continued discussion of a fiscal year 2024 abatement. And just for the record, abatement application information are confidential and are not subject to public records law by state law. And so the discussion where we left it was we wanted more time to look at the property in question, recall our visit to the property, and decide whether or not to abate for the owner's request to go below the current value. Mr. O'Brien, can I ask you what your thoughts are on the matter?
Yes, I tell you what, there was an awful lot of due diligence done on this one. And we wrestled, at least I wrestled with it. And we looked at each and every aspect of the home. We did walk through the home, and we actually did find some other things that we did not have that's not at issue right now. But
Just concur.
But anyway, so yes, so what I want to do is I want to concur with my vote, which was in the nay.
That was on March.
So I don't want to issue or approve the abatement
Right here.
application. I would like to leave it denied.
Okay, from the March 21st vote, you and I had both voted to
Deny.
Denied.
deny the application, and you wish to let that vote stand. Is that
I do.
accurate?
I do.
Okay, as do I. There's no need to take a vote because we're just letting it stand. But I personally would like to compliment both you and Jean Berthold for the intense study on looking at a ledger size sheet with all your numbers, Mr. O'Brien. And I know that the principal assessor also gave us quite a study. So I think just people should know that a lot of work goes into these decisions. And I myself had done some figures. So that item stands. In
Good
addition,
working with you.
yes, in addition, we need to take a vote. We have a letter from the Board of excuse me, a more fashion.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
can I also just say, and a thank you to the homeowner for their
Yes.
fine hospitality and allowing us to prompt through their home.
which we did.
Yes.
Okay. We have a new business. We have a letter dated April 11th from the select board to us. Saying the select board voted unanimously on April 10th to request the abatement of remaining real estate taxes owed in fiscal 24 as it relates to property located in 73 and 75 Bates Street. And the balance for, Providence Street. And if I look at 75 Providence, I see a balance of $2,321.76. And for 73 Providence, a balance of $397.27. And they were asking us to abate that. This is property the town acquired. And unfortunately, the taxes were not paid off evidently when the property was acquired, which they should have been. So what is your pleasure, Mr. O'Brien?
Mr. Chairman, I voted in the yay.
Okay, are you making a motion then to?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought we already did it. Yeah, I make a motion that we abate the taxes on 73 and 75 Providence for Q4.
Okay, I will second that. Are you in favor, Mr. Bryan?
Yay.
Mr. Rudden's in favor. That's unanimous of 2.
But may I suggest that this assessors and have some future discussion with the Board of Selectmen and the Land Use Committee regarding this issue? Because this isn't the first time we've been hung out to dry on the taxes when they pass papers on.
Could I just clarify for anybody who might be reading the minutes or watching this someday? What happens if we don't abate this? Who owes the taxes?
Papers have been passed, town owns the property now.
So the taxes just stay on the books
They
as
would just
owed.
roll over until finally the treasurer collector gets upset and says, why do we keep this record?
Okay.
Well, but the only way of
And what,
either foreclosing on it or abating it,
We own it,
we already own it.
okay, but that has come up before.
yes.
Okay, that was under new business. And then I would just like to,
Could you also, this is all for new business, only because Paul Capinas just let me know this afternoon what roads we will be visiting this second phase. So if you don't mind reading that for the record.
How many homes will that take in roughly?
This year so
Roughly.
far, he's given me 351 homes to visit,
What we do last year?
a little over 400. So I don't think he's done, but I kept bugging him to give me names of roads because I wanted, to
okay.
send out notices.
Okay, for the record, we are using the company which we call PK. It's PK Systems is the correct number. Who supplies our software. They also supply our first 2% looks at properties. These are what are called cyclical inspections that are required by the Department of Revenue, that you must visit a property in person, roughly once every 10 years. Give or take. So beginning Monday, May 6th, 2024, the town of Mendon Assessor's Office will be conducting the second phase of the cyclical inspection process. It will occur over a 2-month period. Our representative is named Bill Beauregard. Will have appropriate identification and request entrance to the home only if an adult is present. If no one is available, a notice will be left advising the homeowner to call the assessor's office to schedule a callback appointment. We are unable to make appointments prior to his visit. Mr. Beauregard will be driving a 2012 black Chrysler, Massachusetts license plate 1CLC68, and will display signs that say assessors on both sides of his vehicle. He will identify himself with a letter from our office along with the identification card. Visits will occur between 9:45 and 3:45 p.m. each day. Each visit will last about 15 minutes. If entrance is denied, the assessors by law are required to assess the property as they deem necessary. These are the locations that will be inspected: Hicknell Drive, Blueberry Drive, Catalpa Lane, Crestview Drive, Daniels Road, Deer Hill Drive, Gaskell Street, George Street, Hartford Avenue East, Haywood Circle, King Philip Pass, Lapham Court, Massasoit Way, Neck Hill Road, Oak Hill Road, Vincent Road, and Warfield Road. If you have any questions, please contact Jean and Berthold at the assessor's office. And the number here is 508-473-2738.
It's also appearing, it was posted today on the website. And there are letters that are going out.
Okay, to the homeowners or,
I do.
okay, letters to the homeowners. It's on the town website as well.
And I also.
And the monthly town paper. Okay.
Month.
The thing we get that came after the crier died.
And it's only monthly?
It's monthly.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Okay, Mr. Bryan, do you have any other new business?
Can't think of any at this second.
Okay, I would, or Ms. Berthold, do you have any other new business? Okay, I would just like to point out that the selectmen continue to delay, for want of a better term, the hiring process of a new principal assessor by having town council review documentation, both Gene Berthold and board members received from the Department of Revenue, upholding our view of state law that we have the right to appoint the new person. And it was on the agenda at the select board meeting of April 17th. And upon arriving, we were told that the matter would not be discussed because town council still needs to look at it. My only question to everybody at World is, how much time does a lawyer need to review a document that was approximately 1 page long when you remove the headers and footers? And that is my comment.
Well, I don't know, geez, that wonder, that sort of sounds like, don't say that, Ken.
Well, we did, Tuesday morning at approximately 11:30, our office emailed, tax counsel of DOR.
Attorney Crowley.
James Crowley, sending him a copy of that letter. And which we had done, we had talked about it last year, but this time I asked him in writing if he would, look at the letter once again and tell us if it's valid, and less than 24 hours. As a matter of fact, 8 something the next morning, he was responding.
In writing that the opinion
Yes,
dated, I believe it's dated
1996.
1996 by the late Harvey Grossman is still, I'm sorry, Harry
Harry Bird.
Grossman,
Still.
who is a
it's
legend in the
well-written-
Department of
it's a well-written
Revenue.
letter, and all the statutes
And-
remain, and there've been no amendments to them.
And you were asked by the chair of select board to forward that to town council. I assume you did that today.
I wasn't asked to
No,
forward it.
No, let me, if I may, that was done the night of the 10th, when we were in that,
No,
He's
not,
talking about the.
no, Crowley's
memo I
response.
got from Crowley.
oh, I thought he had that
He asked me for it, so I handed it to him.
that night.
No, last night.
Okay.
Okay, but
I did not send it to town council.
okay, in any event, then the select board should have, in any event, just the comment I make is the assessors department is the revenue generating department for the town. Why are people that don't know anything about it in plain English screwing with it?
Well, not only that, but even the DLS advised the Board of Selectmen when they were meeting with them that they've had the benefit of a well-run office for the last 30 years with no issues. I don't understand why the board can't celebrate an office that has been successful instead of trying to dismantle it.
Here, here.
It's real simple. And we said this in a memo of the select board, and I'll say it on this forum. It's been no secret to the members of the board that at some point, going back a couple of years, at some point in the future, which is later this year, you were going to retire. We did our due diligence over the last couple of years, looking at all options possible. Whether it was, reducing hours, outsourcing, doing whatever, every option was explored. And we want to keep giving the people the best service possible.
That's right.
And Mr. O'Brien, I know I can speak for you on this. Our goal is to hire the best possible assessor at a price that will get somebody with skills here. So, we don't go lowball and have some junior person rotating in and out every 18 months to get a better job. But to get the best assessor for the town with the right experience. And hopefully stay here many, many years, because it takes a couple of years to learn the town. And
serve the people.
and serve the people. And that's our goal. And for whatever reason, people that understand what you do in this office or what board members do want to play around with it, whether it's for their egos or it's because they're confused by it. I don't know, but candidly, the public is not being served in this case. My personal opinion, the public, the voting public of Mendon and the taxpayers of Mendon are not being served by their select board very well with these delaying tactics. We need to get somebody hired in on our schedule so that that person can overlap with Ms. Berthold prior to her leaving and gain the benefit of her 30 years experience in this job, where things are filed, what's what, and that we put it in the budget for the next fiscal year to have a 3-week overlap. And the more the schedule is tinkered with, the less time we may have, because we have to interview people. We have to pick the right person and offer them a position. They then have to give fair notice where they are in order to start in July before coming here. And each week this is delayed takes away from that transition process. And that's what I have to say about that. I mean,
Yeah, I concur with your remarks, Mr. Chairman. It sort of reminds me about the construction project that was done here at the town hall. And the plan that I asked for and never got sort of reminds me of the was it the 6 or 7 Ps?
proper prior planning prevents blank poor performance.
Yeah, that's the six Ps. And I know that you don't operate your ship this way, Kevin, and I know I don't operate my ship this way in my town. And Gene, we know that you don't operate the ship this way here. I don't understand why there is such a heartburn and delay over this. And I will even just go as far as to say, I'm sorry, this is, I find it seriously taxing seriously taxing personally, that how this much nonsense is going on here at a local level in a town that we all live in. I don't get it.
In my 40 years of living in Mendon, I have never seen anything like this. Never.
I mean, we have a difficult job to do, and most of our job is by statute, so we have very little discretion. We don't need politics messing with the time we have to do our job.
Well, you can't have politics
Yes.
mess with the 100% full and fair market valuation every year of the value of people's property overseen by the DOR. The state law is very clear. It's the Board of Assessors, the assessing staff, not the select board, that are in charge of that. We go through a great deal of training. There are 3 Massachusetts accredited assessors sitting in this room right now. The principal assessor, Mr. O'Brien, and myself. Ms. Berthel also holds another what we call designation certification regarding her abilities. We're trained, we know what we're doing. I would not presume to walk into the workplace of any members of the select board and try to tell them how to do their jobs. And let's leave it at that.
Yeah, okay.
Failing that, we have nothing else on the agenda. Can I have a motion to adjourn, Mr. O'Brien?
So made.
Okay, motion made to adjourn the meeting at 5:49 PM. I second, and since there's only 2 of us and we're both in favor, the roll call vote was yes and yes,
And yes.
and we are adjourned.